Good evening. Welcome into the David Paisano show. This is the special edition for the Seekers Summit. Yes, that's right. We are here tonight because we didn't go to Tucson, Arizona. I wonder how hot it was in Tucson today. Maybe we should go see what that temperature was. But this is the Festivus for the rest of us. For those of us that didn't travel to the desert, for those that aren't participating in a $10,000 treasure hunt, for those of us who did not level up, I'm here tonight to entertain and amuse. Well, for those who are watching, it's basically Natty Ice and Pizza Night, so there might be a little eating involved here. So there are some basketball games on, and should you have a specific interest in some of those teams, uh, maybe there might be somebody here interested in one of those games. I don't know. But anyway, if you're doing double duty by watching the basketball and the Paisano show, well, good for you. The Kansas teams are only playing in the women's NIT and the men's NIT. But I think the Wichita State Shockers may have lost. So, but as far as K State, the basketball season was not worthy of mentioning. They fired their coach in the middle of the season. Usually doesn't work out well. And KU had one player, Peterson, and he only played the minutes he wanted because he was saving himself for the NBA. Have you lost some weight? You look lighter. Well, I think it's just the shadowing tonight. Um, I'm staying about the same, I think, in terms of weight. Certainly, the beer and the pizza night's not going to help. But anyway, I appreciate the compliment there. I did catch a part of your video from last week, Boots on the Ground. Um, but yeah, you only have to outrun the bear. That's right. Doesn't matter how fat you are, doesn't matter how out of shape you are, as long as you're able to outrun the bear. Or if you're with some other people, you're friends. Okay. Hmm. Getting in pretty hard on the natty. They had 40% off of pizza tonight at Casey's. And so, yeah, you can usually get two slices of pizza for $6, or you can get this whole pizza for like $9.15, and that's tax included. Hmm. No, I ordered this pizza not more than well, I ordered the pizza at 6 o'clock, and it was ready at 6:36. I did make the rookie mistake of picking up the pizza first and then picking up the beer. Not a pro move because the pizza, then isn't fresh and hot out of the oven. It's still warm, but when I picked it up, it was piping hot. It had just come out of the oven, or that rotisserie thing that they use at Casey's to cook the pizza. Well, there's a exactly, but then you make sure your beer is cold. So maybe not so dumb after all. Maybe I'm still using the melon. Well, does anybody really understand why K Pro doesn't travel and Mike doesn't travel? Why do K Pro and Mike not travel? So all these searcher events that's ever been held, K Pro and Mike have never made it to a Fenn. I don't know if they made it to a function in the junction. I doubt it. And I don't know if they made it to the Fenn finale. I don't think so. But they want to put on a show for you in Las Vegas. Why is this? Why is it that they're not willing to go to anybody else's searcher event, but they want everybody to come to theirs. Well, it's because they get the monetization. They get the perks, they get the comps, they get the fancy rooms by putting this all together. The hotel gives them comps. They don't ever show up at anybody else's event. I just find that a little bit strange that I've never seen Kpro or Mike do anything from somebody else's search event. Now, they could prove me wrong tonight, live, right now, by going live from Tucson, Arizona, and proving me wrong. But they don't go to anything. Their budget, they want you to spend your money in their town. They don't want to spend their money in your town, so to speak. But I just found that captivatingly odd that you've never seen Mike do a boots on the ground ever. Why is that? Does he know? Does he know that the treasure's not real and it's a proxy item? I don't know. I've just been trying to figure this out. Why you never see them at anybody else's event? So that was my question. Now there is rumors that Jenny Kyle is at the Seekers Summit. She was supposed to be in last night. The Birdman of Alcatraz is out there. Justin Posey, I saw him doing a live interview on a TV station out there promoting the summit. And of course, the Strawberry Jelly and Emma, who are organizing the event, are basically rolling in. I mean, rolling it in, rolling it out. Could I get an advance? An advance on what? I don't know. Well, I think I could do a top 5. Let's see who's come on in. Fantastic got the number 1 spot. And it's number 1. Nomadic Madman got the number 2 spot. Stick Divine comes in number 3. Who else do we have? Trusted Living's number 4. Oh man, I thought for sure we could do a top 5, but I guess not. So there's still room. Okay, so Nomadic says that Kpro does travel for her own stuff, and she was at the Fenn finale. Well, I wasn't there, so but I don't know what she travels for. I've never seen her at Fenbury. Now that you're a politician, are those some of the benefits? I'm not actually a politician. I just got appointed to a advisory board. My first meeting that I officially have the authority to make decisions will be on the April 28th. Stick Divine says that yes, indeed, they do it for the perks. Nomadic's going to spend his money in his own town or our town. That could be a movie quote, our town. Oh, David, could I get an advance? I saw Jenny on Toby's video. Is that Toby Innes or Tobias? There's a Tobias now in the chase. Just bought a Seeker coin. You bought your first Seeker coin? Okay. Would you like to buy mine? Oh, you'd like to have a 20K. Well, if the Forrest Fenn treasure ever gets given to me, then maybe I'll have some money to advance. The kid 8200 is here. Nomadic's clarifying that it was Toby Eunice's show. Trusted Living is putting any new news off until Friday, June 5th. Well, fun and answers we've been waiting for. They're planning Ben Berea, so I don't know how we can have fun and answers before Ben Berea. Would anybody go to Ben? Oh, would anybody go to Ben Berea if there's actually a true solver other than Jack Stoof? If would you go to an event in which a newly named true solver was announced by Forrest Fenn to meet that true solver? Now, Maddox's not ever seen a true solver. Funny dancers. I've heard of tiny dancers. Stick the Vine says, careful what you wish for, DP. I'm not saying I'm the true solver. I'm just asking if you would go to an event. No. To meet the solver, sure. Well, that's the thing. Jack Stoof went to Puerto Rico, so there was no opportunity to meet him as the true solver. Stick the Vine. What coin did you buy? Did you buy a Forrest Fenn coin? Did you buy a Seeker Summit coin? Did you buy a challenge coin? Did you buy what kind of coin did you buy? Nomadic Madman, being the true solver, says he would not travel. Oh, Stick Divine bought some crypto. Crypto? How can that be a searcher coin? The Kid 8200 is informing us that Ben Berea is more to celebrate Forrest's birthday. Okay, fair enough. Well, I found a code today. I think I'm on my way to solving Justin Posey's treasure hunt. Because I saw a video from the Seeker Summit and all the chairs that were on the stage, there was like 3 different colors. Well, maybe this is going to help me with Chad Bird's treasure hunt because he's got a treasure wheel, if you will, involved where there's some primary colors involved. And I swear to God, I saw an orange chair, I saw a blue chair, and I saw another colored chair. And those were the same colored chairs that Chad Bird says are important to his treasure hunt. The same colors, if you will. So I guess there was that. I had a pretty good response to my last video where I talked about how the treasure hunt would be solved in 500 years and the whole Grant Wood thing and how that would happen and the redwood tree. So I had a pretty good number of people look into that one. So I must have been on a roll and I didn't delete that particular show. I missed the Discord chat the other night. Apparently there was a big Discord chat going on. I'm thinking about having a chat on my own Discord here. I don't know if anybody would check that out or not. Stick Divine is proposing that in 500 years we might all be dead. I think you might be onto something there. Well, I can't wait to find out which friend of Justin Posey finds his $10,000 treasure sponsored by Level 5. Again, we're leveling up. We're leveling up to the next treasure hunt. We're going to lock it in, like a final answer, lock it in kind of deal. Well, next week's the critical week where I do some extensive investigation into the thing that happens out in New Mexico in May. And I'm going to check on a parking spot and maybe a hotel. I'm really getting soured on the idea of having this event, though, because the gas prices keep going up and the uncertainty in the world. This is the last piece, by the way. I'm eating 3 pieces of pizza. So I apologize for going live and eating, but looks like Illinois is moving on in the tournament. What time did that game start? I watched I watched both games yesterday. I liked the St. John's game until Duke won. I really don't like I didn't really like anybody in the Michigan State UConn game. I can't stand UConn. Their coach just their coach just annoys me. Their coach just annoys me. Never eat when the sun is down. Well, I mean Dracula obviously is you're referring to Dracula there, right? Um, I don't know. I thought he always ate um, when the sun was down. So I guess maybe Dracula's the exception there. The sun's still out as you can see. So I'm good. But yeah, I'm eating actually pretty late tonight. Um, I was out running the skid steer earlier today. Well, what do you want to talk about? This is the Festivus for the rest of us show. People that aren't at Seeker Summit. I thought maybe Bill Gorman would be dropping by. Mysterious Life Adventures. Both of them were out doing videos today. Ricky put up a video today, so I thought maybe a few of those people might join in for this. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say. I just wanted to go live and uh, see if anybody had any thoughts on the Seeker Summit. I mean, do you think people are actually going to learn anything from this event today that will help them in their treasure hunt? They were trying to get over 1,300 people there. I think the last count I heard was around 850, 900. Do you realize the Arizona Wildcats are playing a game? Is that the game that's on next? Is Arizona? Are they on next? I actually might want to watch that. Or did Illinois beat Arizona? Oh, that game's on right now. Is it on CBS or is it on TBS or something like that? Yeah, I was thinking about. I probably should. I might want to watch that game, but it's probably not on CBS, and I don't have TNT, TBS, HBGB. Well, the Kansas City Current is off to a horrible start in the women's soccer league. That last year they had the best record in the league, but I don't know if they. Oh, it's on TBS. Well, so much for that. Oh, hold on. Maybe I don't think I get TBS. I have this computer over here hooked up to the internet on Tubi. Do you think I can get that on? Do you think I can get that on my internet connected TV over here? I have like Tubi. Can I get TBS on Tubi? I wonder. If I can, then I can probably watch it on this. This is an Amazon Fire TV, but I don't have a subscription to Amazon streaming services. I just have a TV. I may have to see if I can get it. Stick Divine's bracket is broke. Jeff said there's no kings on TDS. Yeah, they were estimating that a lot of people were going to these no kings rallies today. Um, I was out in the pasture, so I don't know if they had a protest here or not, but yeah, I guess they're gaining momentum. They just indicted the woman that started the Black Lives Matter movement. They convicted her of money laundering and embezzlement. So I guess it's 250 plus year old news. Yeah, all the people over in England are upset with the United States. Really? It happened 250 years ago? You're still upset about it? No taxation without representation. What do you expect? Uh, they well on the corner of Cornrow and Cow Patty. Well, Jeff, did you consider going to the Seeker Summit, or are you at the Seeker Summit right now? Mm. Well, with all those treasure seekers out in Tucson right now, maybe they'll find Nancy Guthrie. Lord, I apologize for that insensitivity. Uh, but considering how good most of the people are in this search community, there's no chance they're going to find her. They can't even find one of five boxes or Posey's box, or how are they going to find a person? Oh, you're watching basketball instead of the Seeker Summit. Oh, are you an Arizona Wildcat fan? Do we have any Wildcat fans in the room? Arizona Wildcat fans? Hmm. Yeah, I don't know if this having this Seeker Summit in Tucson was very well thought out or not, especially when it came to how well Arizona was doing this year in terms of basketball and the scheduling of the NCAA tournament. But by and large, not too many people are that interested in both sports and treasure hunting. That crossover is not very, very large. Um, well, I said I'd do this someday, so this might be the day. I'm gonna I'm gonna tune in and see if I can find some basketball here pretty soon. So anyway, yeah, the Seeker Summit is in Tucson. Well, I said I was going to do this someday, so I thought I would. So many years ago, many years ago, uh, before the Earth cooled, and I became a YouTube sensation. Hey, there's the Grinkinator. So many years ago, before I became a YouTube sensation, I started this site. End of the chase, thrill of the chase answers. And I started this in 2025. Uh, and I think my first post was, have you ever searched for hidden treasure? Do you think that someone would hide a treasure and write a book and a poem about a treasure chest and challenge you to find it? Could it be a hoax? What what if someone found the answers to the riddle and it did not lead to gold and jewels? If so, this is the place for you. And I wrote that in 2015. So shortly after the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt happened, I started posting my reactions. I waited almost a year before I got into the fling of it. And that's when I wrote this little beauty, Jumping the Shark. The Forrest Fenn aftermath has jumped the shark. It was expected that there would be a plethora of solves and theories coming out after the announcement of discovery of the booty. However, I doubt that anyone would have anticipated the amount of conspiracy theories and speculation that has emerged. Every show has a life cycle where there is an introduction, a buildup of suspense, and then a final act. However, sometimes when everything that could possibly be done to create new content for the characters has been exhausted, the creators roll out a series of scenes that deviate so far from the main theme of the show that they jump the shark. Of course, this expression comes from the series Happy Days, where Fonzie and the Cunninghams and the rest of the cast travel to California, and Fonzie accepts a dare to jump a shark. In effect, the series Happy Days had nothing new. And so it is with Forrest Fenn. And just like Happy Days, we have spin offs on YouTube with former cast members who all participated as searchers in the thrill of the chase. They then morphed into a series on YouTube. So not only did they have spin offs of cast members, they became YouTube sensations. Some of these YouTubers have gained a modicum of success while others have floundered. You remember Laverne and Shirley, but how many can recall the episode of Joni and Chachi? So I think that we have seen some successful spin-offs of the original Finn chase, and also some not so successful endeavors as well. Let's see, X marks the spot, Blackbeard. For me, the original is the original, and no new show is going to replace it. No matter how many attempts are made to rewrite the characters and change the story's ending, the production gets shut down and the actors go on to play other parts in other series. Henry Winkler, where are you now? And that was a little beauty that I wrote not so long ago. Um, uh, anyway, I said I'd kind of go through this website a little bit. So let me continue on. Here is a message from the Ministry of Truth that I wrote on March 20th, 2021. I just received my first instruction from the Ministry of Truth. It read, "You must tell the truth, but not all the truth. Only 85% of it needs to be true." Some may not recognize the inspiration for those words, but what 85% should be told? The 15% might just be the part that leads to a blockbuster Netflix series. I wrote that on March 20th, 2021. What lies below the surface may be more than 85%. And so the voices in my head continue to discuss the pros and cons of freeing myself from the chase. The same voices that have been speaking to me for years now. Dedicating so much time and effort to one endeavor creates a void when what you believe is true is only a figment of imagination, tethered to a strand of delusional truth and faith in the human species as one that is truthful and kind. But what are the facts? And who is the provider of these facts? And are they even true? Is any of it real? My inner demons are beginning to scream loudly. What the fuck were you thinking? My spirit replies, it will all work out for you in the end. Yet my soul remains mired down in the murkiness of a foggy night on a lonely road with ghosts and evil spirits clamoring for attention. My only question left to the authority is, what must I do to be released from this nightmare? Again, the Netflix blockbuster series comment, March 20th, 2021. On March 19th, I wrote Reinventing the Chase. Revisionist history is always more interesting than the real thing. At least that is what the book by George Orwell entitled 1984 led me to believe. This classically prescribed reading for 11th grade high school students taught me more about the world than I had learned in any of my previous 16 years of existence on the planet. There should be a special place reserved for high school literature teachers that tack on a couple of years to their life for putting up with the snot-nosed know-it-all teenagers that enter their classroom and near illiterates. Run, Spot, run, Tip and Mitten, Raggedy Ann and Andy. Move over! There's a mind that needs melding. Please allow the innocence of childhood to be replaced with real-world ideas that may be useful surviving yourself in high school and years beyond. Enter now the ministry of truth, the ministry of justice, and introduce me to now the world and how it's shaped by mediocre aristocrats cloaked in a dark room behind a curtain of mind control. Let the thought police lead you in the direction of divine inhibition and allow your most human of urges to be suppressed for the good of the community. That was a parallel to Forrest Fenn and his handlers. Looking through the Orwellian lens at the community involved in the Forrest Fenn aftermath, I wonder if I have now entered Oceania. As new streams of content are released daily into the vast openness created by such an innocuous ending, we are left doubting and questioning our own ability to think and create and exist with words that now have little or no meaning. Are we to be dumbed down into submission by the forces at work wanting Winston Smith to depart from its own reality to that of the dark state? In the state of Fenn, there is a single party system where only the party rules with its leader. It broadcasts, manages, distributes information, and controls the people. Though the information is taken from history, it is rewritten to suit the current occasion. Even I have a hard time thinking why the Facebook postings and YouTubing is punishable. The people are becoming unsure, and then sure that they are a member of a great treasure quest. The goal, of course, is to ensure that everyone in the community accepts the same notions due to the subversion of information and rewriting of the history. Let us not be fooled by the authority and its groupthink. On March 18th, I wrote the following. The power of delusional thinking. Do you remember back to those magical days before Forrest Fenn announced the finding of the treasure chest? I sure do. Mainly because of the power of delusional thinking. It was about the time the documentary was announced by one of the YouTubers that had done an interview with Forrest Fenn and Douglas Preston that would form the nuclei of the documentary. I was convinced that Forrest Fenn was leading up to a profound announcement of the treasure being found, and the documentary would include an interview with Forrest and the lucky finder. Now, this might sound a little crazy, but I actually thought Forrest had hired these documentarians and they would be contacting me for an interview. Okay, you can yell at your screen right now. You're not the solver. You're not the solver. You're not the solver. So as the interview was broken down into pieces and shown in sound bites on YouTube, I started to doubt that Forrest had intended for his interview to be broadcast in this manner and why he allowed the documentary was being parsed out the way it was in sound bites. But I was convinced that Forrest was behind it and that he would be contacting me for my story to add to the documentary. Well, obviously none of this happened. Forrest did not instruct them to get my story, and no one came knocking at my door. But as a result, the sensationalism behind not releasing the interview as one piece only enraged the community because at the time, the treasure was still out there. So the power of delusional keeping, so the power of delusional thinking kept me engaged in thinking that the chest and fame and fortune were just within my reach. I expected that Janet Shamlian, Tony DeCouple, and Gotti Schwartz would be knocking down my door for interviews and offers of television appearances. Meanwhile, Sotheby's and other auction houses would be bringing offers to me for the box of antiquities. But instead, we now have an Onion spoof writer claiming ownership of the treasure chest. At least I'm no longer under the spell of delusional thinking. All right. Okay. What? Oh, so what's? Oh, Stick Divine retracted. Oh, Trust of Living says they did not know it was the chase that they sought, and not the quarry. The thoughts of Blaise Pascal. Illinois beat Iowa. The Brinkinator said, "Can sharks jump? That really makes me scared. The ocean is so spooky." I just watched Dark on Netflix. It was strange, but I liked it. March 19th is your mom's birthday. Trust Living says we're waiting on the prestige. We've seen the pledge and the turn, with only the prestige to come. The whistling bunghole is here. One Finbury was enough for me. Plus, Barb won't be there, so I'm an out. Well, I mean, I don't remember ever seeing Barb actually at a Finbury, but I think she was there. I don't remember seeing Candy at a Finbury, but I think she was there. Are you talking about the Benbury that you went to? Oh, are you talking about a real Finbury? I was pretty active in March, posting. I posted like every day for 3 days or 4 or 5, even twice a day. So the Forrest Fenn aftermath was posted on March 16th in 2021. What does it all add up to? A big nothing. Now that more than 9 months are in the rearview mirror since the announcement that Forrest Fenn made concerning the thrill of the chase treasure, what is the state of the chase? There seems to be a group that have eagerly accepted that a man by the name of Jack has found the chest. These people accept that the chest is still in New Mexico and that Jack met with Forrest in an office in Santa Fe. Despite the fact that Jack has not provided the solution to the treasure hunt and the only evidence of his solve is 3 pictures of a partially full chest that may have some items that were shown on the cover of the book. Excuse me. Another group appears to be skeptical of the information presented. Jack, oh, excuse me. Let me start again. Another group appears to be skeptical of the information presented by Jack and have provided some character assessments of the finder and doubting authenticity of his find. This line of thinking is being perpetuated in a number of different forms. Yet even others believe that the chest was either never found, never available to be found, or was retrieved by Forrest or his proxy. Some in this camp have even went so far as to suggest that Forrest Fenn is still alive. Again, this all was March of 2021. For the most part, I have not made any public statements concerning these announcements and the developments that have come about after the announcement, mainly because many of them are completely irrelevant to my experience and relationship with the Forrest Fenn treasure request. I have been following these developments and the court cases just to see what the aftermath would provide. Some of it has been a little disheartening, while others have been heartwarming. Each of us had our own relationship or lack of relationship with the creator of this hunt. What we treasure from that relationship is ours alone until it is shared with others. Choosing to remember that relationship as sacred and secret comes with a price of personal satisfaction in airing personal grievances concerning the interactions you had with Forrest. At this point, I do not see anyone coming forward and saying they are completely satisfied with their interactions with Forrest now that he is gone and the opportunity to put their hands on the chest filled with gold and antiquities is no longer a possibility. Forrest once said that if you had something nice to say about him, tell him now while he was alive. I think the same should be said about grievances they have with someone. Any critics should have confronted Forrest while he was alive, but they would not, fearing that perhaps if he was mad, he would not give them the inside information or a secret hint. One person was courageous enough to present some information in 2017 that was critical of Forrest Fenn, and he addressed those claims. Whether this was done out of spite or could have been done more tactfully is certainly debatable. The last time I interacted with Forrest Fenn at Fenbury 2019, he was not giving me or anyone else hints that would have led to the discovery of his treasure. He was telling me and Silver Fox about a German railway. There was a word for word story he had written before, but he was leaving out some of the details. However, I did notice that there had been a gradual decline in his ability to deflect, defend, and to ward off the attempts to extract information from him. So, what is the point of writing this today? Well, I just reviewed the 9 or 10 emails that I sent to Forrest Fenn over the past 8 years, and I noticed that I was engaged in the same behavior of badgering the man just like many others. My emails were infrequent, and there were years where I did not send a single message. While I did not ask any specific questions in my email, it appears that I was hoping to find confirmation for my ideas, which I think was equally obtrusive and dangerous. While at the same time, I thought those emails were appropriate. In hindsight, they were aimed at getting an advantage. Yet, not one of his one sentence replies provided me any useful information. For the most part, my interactions with Forrest Fenn swung from admiration and adornment to disgust and disappointment. Depending on whether I felt I was getting any closer to solving the treasure hunt, I can imagine that anyone truly invested in this quest had the same experience. Do I have some things that I would like to get off my chest? Sure, I do. But sharing them with others is not going to bring back Forrest or assist in discovering the location where the treasure was secreted, nor is it going to help the remaining family members who have suffered a greater loss than any of us. As a side note, I'm not very a good person when it comes to personal interactions with others, so please do not judge my comments as a negative reflection on Forrest Fenn. Each of us has our own personal account, and when we add up the sum of what we have, it should not be less than what we gave. I can understand that many of us feel that the accounts have failed to post our contributions to the balance sheet. But there's always a line for past due accounts that one person's books it shows as an accounts receivable on another's. In the end, the books are balanced. So those were the comments that I made after. Um, so those are some of the comments I made after uh, the Forrest Fenn treasure was found in March of 2021. And there's been a lot of posting and deleting in the chat. Uh, the Whistling Bunghole says there are no more Ben Berees in my future. Oh, well, that's sad. Treasure is so cool. I think I was a pirate in the past life, that or a dictator. Yeah. God forbid I provide a fun party and free food for Forrest and Finbury. Well, welcome in, Treasure Warriors. Good to see you. I thought maybe you would have rolled on over to Seeker Summit. I figured you were going to be at Seeker Summit. Hell, you're as big a celebrity as any of those people. Oh, man. I just can't believe it. Nobody said it wasn't fun. It just wasn't fun in answers. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was fun. I had fun at Benbury. I met some fun people, and I didn't meet Shiloh because he left. Or he showed up after I left. I think that was planned. I did drop a book off, and Nomadic Madman had a video clip. That was pretty funny. When Shiloh asked Ben, "Do you recognize this vehicle? Has this vehicle been here? Do you know this person? He dropped a book off at my house. Let's turn it all. Let's turn that over to the FBI and see if they can figure out who that was." Uh, Stick Divine says the answers I already know. Uh, I thought Treasure Warriors was interested in DB Cooper. Are you going? If they have another CooperCon, is the Treasure Warriors going to go to CooperCon? Uh, uh, are you going to go to? Are you going to go to CooperCon? Well, here's after they said that the treasure was found in Wyoming. I gave it my best Wyoming solve where that was the Brown referred to the Brown Thomas Meadow Ranch, uh, and then the the no place for the meek was Hunter's Creek, which is below the Brown Thomas Ranch, and then the heavy loads referred to Boulder Creek and the water high and inlet to Sheepeater Creek. The no paddle up spot uh, was mentioned there. And then the Blaze was the land route to the South Fork Road. Once you get to the Y's at the end of South Fork Road, which was 6WX Road to Cabin Creek. And so that was my thoughts on um, that. So I did not post on my blog from November 30th of 2019 until uh, until August 30th of 2020. And then Forrest was still alive when I wrote that deal there. But in November I said a crushing defeat. And I used to write about people I knew. And you can read this whole entire blog. Oh, by the way, there's my pickup truck. So my grandfather bought this truck in 1949. Him and his wife, Ruth, this was their only transportation. And for wheat harvest, they were able to put wheat in the bed of that truck and haul it to town to make money. But this is all they had. And they drove this vehicle to my mom and dad's wedding, by the way. So I took this vehicle apart, 100% apart. I took the fenders off. I took the chrome, the headlights, the windows out. I disassembled this vehicle completely, and my dad paid to have the parts painted, and I reassembled the vehicle and put it back together. And it's a 1949 Diamond T truck that I basically disassembled and put back together. Anyway, So, so this story was I wrote about a guy whose property got taken away, and so I was ready to quit the chase in basically November of 2019, and I posted on my blog. This is my final post on this blog. I will leave this content up until December 4th, then I'm going to archive it. And this is how I was feeling about the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt in November 30th of 2019. So this is going to be my final post on this blog. I will leave this content up until December 4th. Then I'm going to archive it. Unfortunately, the thrill of the chase drama needs to be removed from my daily routine. It's been 6 years. It's been 7 years since I wrote this. And I'm still involved in this daily routine. I'm feeling that I'm bordering on insanity by spending too much time on this. What started out in 2013 as a treasure quest and a hobby has now turned into something that I never anticipated it would become. Perhaps I had too high of expectations in terms of the final outcome and the participants involved. I wrote this in November of 2019 before the treasure was found. Uh, when I first started, this was a little known book sitting on a shelf in Santa Fe. Then it became a national phenomenon after the Today Show featured it on morning television. Now it has morphed into a YouTube sensation. So my format is no longer meets the current business model of the thrill of the chase. No one seems to be interested in reading and commenting on what I have to say. I had 5 comments on this, and it's me talking to one other person. Moreover, there's not much more that I can add to the story. As I sit here in front of my computer, I do so with many good thoughts of some boots on the ground and reflect on many of the research topics that I explored as part of searching for this elusive treasure. But there are so many unsettling forces at work now. What was for me a gentleman's game has now turned into a free-for-all with no apparent rules and a lot of excess drama. Over the years, I've arrived at 2 very solid possibilities for success in retrieving the Forrest Fenn bonanza. One is a small-scale solution, and the other is a big-picture solve. Both lead to the same final resting place. I'm going to take the next 4 months to consider my lot in life and decide if I should pursue this any further. In the last 10 years, we have heard story after story of adventure and exploration. To collect them all would take a volume set greater than John Francis Campbell's collection of popular tales from the West Highlands, which in its final stanza proclaims that every story must have a beginning, middle, and an end. And yet we found no end. If you didn't realize that, that was a play on the idea that my screen name was The End of the Chase. The name of the blog was The End of the Chase. So this story was basically saying that a story must have a beginning, a middle, and the end. And the end was me, the end of the chase. No interest in Seeker Summit. My interest has been the chase. Chuckle. Bunghole? Bunghole! Uh, the Stick Divine's parents drove a 49 Ford to their wedding in 1952. Not for me. Life is badass and full of fun. Ben Burry is here to celebrate the magic. Treasure Warrior says, to be fair, David, you probably wrote this once the Forrest Doug interview was being released, clips at a time. Yes, I did write that one story in response to the fucking Doug Preston interview being released a bit at a time. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. Fantastic is asking if The next Fenn is a definite go. Oh, I need to change my that to live chat. I was looking at top chat. The November 14 interview was after the trigger had been pulled. Trusted living? You're living on dangerous territory. You're living on dangerous territory. Whenever you mention trigger, that's going to immediately bring up the bullet, and somebody's going to come in the room and start talking about the bullet. Okay, so I posted. This is my original artwork, by the way. I called that one Pacific Coast. I painted that, uh, and I gave it to my mom in 1987. Uh, and then here's another one that I painted. That might be the Seeker Summit. The Fall Creek. I like to think that Fall Creek is the place in which the treasure was found. So my dad never said much about my artwork, if anything. My mom still has them hanging on the wall, so I guess they're not that bad. Maybe I should pick up a brush and get back to it. What do you think? So anyway, that's what I was posting in November. If you'd like to see what the comments were, I had this guy called Sunset at Dawn. Sunset at Dawn was the only person that commented more than once on any of my posts on my blog. And in this case, Sunset said, "You're an artist?" And I said, "Well, art is in the eye of the beholder. My total art output consists of about 8 or 10 watercolors and a few sketches and a flurry of stick figures." Okay, so I don't know. This person, Sunset at Dawn, and me used to comment all the time about my writings. Um, so the turquoise earring story is an embarrassing story about myself. Wrote this around the time of Black Friday. Hope everyone is having a nice Black Friday. Sometimes I go out and battle the crowds to see what bargains I can find. Today I found a good deal on some game cameras and a couple of ramps to load a four-wheeler on my trailer or in the back of the pickup. They are the trifold type and they fold up easy for storage. The game cameras were about $40 each and include a video card and batteries. I got four of them, so I can hopefully catch the guy that keeps breaking into my school building and stealing stuff from our sheds. In 1989, I went out Black Friday shopping and bought some turquoise earrings for my girlfriend. This is a truly embarrassing story, but I'll read it anyway. In retrospect, they were really gaudy looking, and if pressed on the issue, I would say that they probably resulted in our subsequent breakup. I learned that if you're shopping for jewelry, it's best to have your partner with you. I like turquoise color, and I've spent some time looking for it and also researched the history and uses of turquoise. Some others in the community know the history of turquoise better than I do, so there's probably no need to go into any more details about it. Again, Forrest Fenn uh, had color plates of his turquoise in the Joe Pogue book called The Turquoise. I bought this little nugget a while back because I thought it looked like an alligator. Of course, I've always seen things that aren't there. So here's a picture of my turquoise alligator uh, rock in front of the Thrill the Chains. Older posts. Here's some advice I gave to K Pro after she was throwing her mitts over a couple of very rare books that not too many people had in their possession. Wash your hands, handle it gently. Anyway, so this was a trolling information. Uh, so this was a story I wrote for the community about that. Here's the Big Boy 4014. Here's some other stories I wrote. Here's another Diamond T truck that I restored. I restored that truck. I actually had somebody else professionally paint that. I used to write articles for Forrest Fenn. Here's the one took over the line video. Here's a stick figure I drew for Halloween. There's a happy this is October of 2019. I drew a happy Halloween stick figure. Well, anyway, do I have an hour yet? Oh, I have an hour. Woo woo! I can officially get paid. So Treasure Warriors is telling us that the weekend of August 22nd at the Pecos Canyon Park, same place as last year, will be Binbury 2026. Trigger is a horse, of course. Bring your own fishing rod. Paint me like one of your French girls, Grinkinator. Awesome. I love it. Rose! Rose! Oh. I've got Grinkinator. I have an article that I wrote back in about 2016 about that somewhere on my blog. Just the Living found a bird dog, and it was pretty lame and a non-performer. I can't believe I have 28 people watching this stream. That's ridiculous. I appreciate everybody jumping in, joining in. Witches are so scary. I don't like the idea of being hexed and cursed. Treasure Warriors, I'm bringing like 7 fishing poles. A rod. Okay, I'm going to do this once and then I'm going to be done. If you want to read my total output, you can. You can read my total output if you want. UDP. Okay, so I started writing my blog in May of 2015. I started researching the Forrest Fenn treasure in 2013. And I did not go out looking for the treasure until April or May. I think it was May. I think it was May of 2015. May 7th, 2015 is my first boots on the ground for the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt. It's my first post on my blog. And I'm going to read this article. I will read this article after I get another beer. May I, with your indulgence, may I get another beer? I just Googled it. The Titanic is real. I apologize. I'm going to step away for a minute and get another Natty 25. I'm back. I'm back. Stick Divine read the book in 2011, but didn't search until 2018. The treasure was already found. Thank you, Treasure Warriors. We appreciate everything that you do. The Grinkinator wants a beer or a BJ. Well, BJ and the Bear. We could boot up some BJ and the Bear. So, well, I would say I first got involved in the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt. I officially got involved in the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt on May 7th, 2015 and became a member of this community. Now, before this time, I was a lurker. I was on Chase Chat. I was on Dow Neitzel's. I had been on the old Santa Fe Trading Company website, communicating with people there on the in the chat. But you had to wait a whole day to get an answer there. Anyway, it was cumbersome. Unfortunately, I did not ever make it over to Harry's. So Grinkinator is looking for a new TV show called BJ and the Beer. You don't want to get a BJ from that bear. Trust me. I don't think that would work out well for you. So I officially became a member of the community here. On May 7th, 2015, finally had a chance to head out into the wilderness to look for the Forrest Fenn treasure. Having deciphered the poem and came up with the solution, I was convinced that I would return with the treasure. I could hardly sleep and was already running late by 6:30. Wearing my appropriate forest green shirt and blue jeans, I quickly gathered everything needed. The poem, a flashlight for looking at night, and the solution to the puzzle. Since this trip was going to be short, I only grabbed a few bananas, a candy bar, and a jug of tea. The last item was a case to conceal the treasure for transport to my car. After about 8 hours worth of passing everything on the highway headed west on Highway 56, a blaze of red and blue lights appeared in my rear window. I knew this was a sign. Fortunately, the Morton County Sheriff's Department was sympathetic to my cause. I was on to Oklahoma and New Mexico. The first stop was at Springer and the Cimarron River area. I looked around for browns, blazes, and other signs that the treasure could be in this area. Unfortunately, aside from the placard on the Brown Hotel, I could not get the clues to match. I headed on towards Cimarron, hoping to find the Philmont Ranch. Unfortunately, I missed the road and ended up going through Cimarron and on into the forest. It was at this point in time that I met Dave from back east, who was looking feverishly at the old man's face. At the Kent and Esther cross, I kept looking for blazes and finally came across the old man's face area and assumed this outcropping and decided to take a picture. Spent a couple of minutes relating this to the Old Man in the Mirror poem and then decided to save it for later. Just like Dave from back east, I was at the Kent and Esther cross. The road emptied out of the forest passage into my honey hole, Eagle's Nest Lake. I had it all figured out. Wheeler Mountain, 6 Mile Creek, the brown bears, the canyon, the meek, water high and heavy loads, pinyon trees, sagebrush, waterfalls, warm waters were all there just like I saw them on Google. My Google search had proved fruitful and I was ready to eat honey. Well, all I found was crow. Wheeler Peak and 6 Mile Creek were nothing like I pictured them in my Google mind. Well, beautiful as they are, they did not add up to the poem. After 3 hours of looking, I dropped my head in disappointment. Had I not taken enough bananas? Did I need to smile at more homely women? Did I need to drink more tea? Why couldn't I find the treasure? Well, I was down and out, but not defeated. The Vietnam War Memorial was next and close, only a few miles down the road. Unfortunately, after a tour of the parking lot and a quick peek inside, I decided this place was more important than Forrest Fenn, and it would be in bad taste to place a monetary treasure there. At this point, I should apologize to all those who have read my posts on the treasure being at Eagle's Nest, and especially to the fake fisherman at the end of 6 Mile Creek, or the fake finder at the end of 9 Mile Hole. However you want to read that. It was getting on about 4 in the afternoon by the time I reached the information center for the Rio Grande. There was a visitor center, and I had drank way too much tea. Upon entering, I was met by a kind gentleman and a raven-haired woman with brown skin. I kindly asked the young man if they had a road map of the area and further south. Unfortunately, he did not. Instead, he offered me some maps of the gorge and places north. I smiled at the raven haired woman and we began a conversation about farming and organic farming. She was from Maine. Seriously, this gal was from Maine and had spent the summer in Arizona and was camping out. A pajarito gently suckled nectar from the feeder hanging in the reception area. I asked the guide if he had heard of Forrest Fenn. He laughed and informed me that it was all a hoax and that from time to time visitors would come looking for information about the area and their plans to find the treasure. It was getting late and I needed a place to stay, so I headed south. Okay, I left out of the story the part about the lady offering me a place to stay with her and her mother along the Rio Grande at a camping spot. It was about 5:30 when I came across a statue of a horse and a rider along the side of the road. My inquisitive nature took over and I changed my course 180 degrees and headed back north. The statue was of San Juan de Onate. A roadside marker told the story of his arrival from Mexico to this spot to establish San Gabriel as the territorial capital of the area and declaring Spain as the ruler of the land. Considering the Indians had been here for thousands of years, I found it most interesting. It later stated that this was the first capital in the land called the United States. Some people in Florida, St. Augustine, might argue that. But anyway, well, it was at this point that the universe converged. Had I found the home of Brown? After all, warm waters had halted. Uh, and I had followed the canyon down. Was this the home of Brown? It was getting late, but with newfound enthusiasm, I passed through the town of Espanola. Espanola? Hey, wait a minute. That's Spain, home of Brown. I knew this was a sign, so I quickly looked for a hotel. Out of the corner of my eye, I spotted the sign for the Cities of Gold Casino. I checked in and called it a day. All right, well, I actually left out the part about going to the buffet, eating too much food, playing the game. The casino game at the time was Secrets of the Forest. And I actually won enough money to basically buy my buffet. Anyway, I could hardly sleep, and in fact, I slept only about an hour. That's because I had a little Montezuma's revenge from the bad shellfish on the buffet. I was trying to decipher the clues after the home of Brown. Unfortunately, all the names around the area were in Indian Tiwa or Spanish. This was going to be impossible without some translation. Luckily, I had the Anthology of the Tiwa Language 1908 copy with me in order to assist in this manner. At this point, I should mention that I had already done 2 months of research on Spanish and Tiwa names in New Mexico and knew that Po, Ohe, Wigne, Pojiquo, Atoe, and many other names translated. Many have to do with water and place names. For instance, Atoe means a place where water re-enters the earth. Pojiquo means place of water. And another word means a strong people. Truth is, this is where I was headed to begin White Rock. So the canyon down, the Rio Grande, Espanola, heavy loads, and the volcanic flows and the high water basin. I was now looking for a blaze. Incidentally, I'd followed all the blogs where the trains and other subtle clues were mentioned. The Chile line had ran from Santa Fe to Antonito, Colorado, and crossed at the Atoe Bridge. Also, the Atoe Bridge was named an historic site because of the tea that was served at the Atoe crossing by relatives of the founders of the ranch school in Los Alamos. That's right, the Manhattan Project. The first program in the United States was modeled after one in England, and eventually became the Boy Scouts. I could not put my forest green shirt and pants on fast enough. I packed my bananas, a jug of tea, and grinned at the hotel staff as I headed out for White Rock. I was headed to the Padurito Plateau. The hunt would soon be over. The circle of life where waters halt to where waters return to the earth. I expected to find a train half immersed in water that had been driven off the Toei Bridge. Unfortunately, all I found was a lock on the gate and a couple of rundown buildings. My spirit was shattered in a million pieces, just like the pottery of the Tiwa tribes. I'm particularly happy with that phrase. I was so enthralled with that phrase. Let me read it again. When I wrote that, I just thought that was brilliant literature. All I found was a lock on a gate and a couple of rundown buildings. My spirit was shattered in a million pieces, just like the pottery of the Tiwa tribes. I thought that was excellent. Anyway, there was no train, no blaze. Where did I go wrong? Had I not smiled at enough women? Was it too much tea? Should I bring more bananas? After all, I was at the train tracks. I should be able to grab all the bananas. Why did I not have the treasure? All right, gonna check in. Have I lost everybody in the chat yet? Probably lost everybody. Whistling Bunghole says leaving Maine in the summer for New Mexico is like leaving heaven for hell. Oh, there's Zozo. Good to see you. The rain in Maine is warmer on the plain. I've lived here since 2002. Maine is awesome. I can't hardly wait to get back there. Yeah, I just think it's so interesting. I mean, it's just so crazy that I go to Ben Berea and I meet somebody from Maine. And I wrote about meeting somebody from Maine in May. But you got to be, honestly, Husker, this happened in May. It wasn't hotter than hell. Oh, god dang it. Now I gotta share again. Oh man, I closed that. I think I've been drinking too much. Are you bored with is everybody bored with this? If you're bored with this, I'll just hang up and do something else. I closed that. I've been drinking. I'm on my second natty. 25. I'm on my second natty 25. All right, I'll go back to reading this. Okay. I had not found the treasure, but I was really on vacation and had intended to go to the White Rock observation deck. There were some videos online about it. I moved swiftly to the observation deck and found myself in awe of a marvel gaze. It was truly breathtaking, and in fact, the most incredible spot that I'd found so far. The smell of sage and pinyon started to drift over me, and a gentle breeze calmed my now shattered nerves about the treasure. Then, suddenly, I wondered, is this the marble gaze? Should I be looking here? I jumped up from the picnic table and scurried around the observation platform, and what did I see? A yellow cigarette lighter. Alas, I had found the blaze. I kept the lighter as a souvenir and entertained the thought that this could be the marble gaze. Well, where to look? Well, the poem said down. So I looked down and I could not believe my eyes. There was a rock formation in the shape of an X right there in front of me. Now, for a flatlander, that was going to be a long hike. Was it worth it? Well, my better senses washed over me like a New Mexico waterfall, and remembered that it could not be where an 80-year-old would not venture. I returned to my car for study and reflection. I must have dozed off for a half hour or so before I returned to the observation deck. A middle aged couple from the area arrived just in time to finish their walk. I struck up a conversation with the locals who insisted on describing the area. Over there is Buckman, where the chili line would haul wood from the forest. You can see Wheeler and Taos Mountain over there. They call that formation Alligator Mountain. If you go over there, you can visit the Pui Caves. Look at all the volcanic flows that turned into rivers. Here is where the rock eroded away the canyon and it began to form. You cannot see Santa Fe, but it's around the horseshoe, as we call it. My mind nearly exploded and the hunt was on again. This could be a special place for Forrest then. The Pui Caves would remind him of Skippy, Alligator Mountain for Beowulf, Buckman and its loads of wood, and his dear friend Eric Sloan. Santa Fe was hidden just like Philadelphia by a veteran pilot's thumb. At this point, the man said, "Don't forget to look at our waterfall." Waterfall? Oh my gosh, could it be? Well, no, it could not be. It was too good to be true. A waterfall right there? Since many have thought this to be the blaze, I had to find out more about the waterfall. The middle aged man with black hair looked at his wife and smiled as he said, "Unfortunately, it's not running water right now. We need to get some more people to flush their toilets so the tourists can see the waterfall." As it turned out, this was the discharge for the White Rock Waste Treatment Plant. Once again, I was disappointed that the clues did not add up to the treasure, but I'd come this far and was willing to go a bit further. I looked for a good put-in to look for the treasure. Since this was a public park, I could go anywhere. I found the best spot to be where the Rio Grande Street intersected with Meadow Street. This looked to be a little ravine that would empty into the Rio Grande below. I trudged for hours in the park looking at any spot that looked promising: aspen trees, carved F's, white rocks, anything to brighten my spirits. The treasure was there. After a few hours of looking, I finally gave up on the spot and headed to my car. As I returned to the car, a raven appeared and it nestled in the tree above me. Caw, caw, still echoes through my mind. So I just want to point out to Chad Bird, anything that has to do with caw, caw, I wrote about it in 2015. You have no originality. I wrote about the caw call back in 2015. I chewed begrudgingly on my banana and sipped my tea. What I should be eating was above me. It was time to leave White Rock for greener pastures. I had read about the ranch school at Los Alamos and decided to take a look at it. As I drove back down from White Rock and made a U-turn to head to Los Alamos, what should appear but a long stripe of white rock on the canyon wall. Maybe this was the blaze. Los Alamos meant the cottonwoods. I would be in the wood, and Oppenheimer must have been very brave. I had just passed the Indian reservation, and there were all sorts of heavy loads of volcanic rock. All this was happening below what I believed to be the home of Brown. And that is when a bomb went off in my shattered mind. Wise and found the blaze. Forrest must be referring to when he had to sign out the atomic bomb. I'd solved it. Wise and Blaze referred to the Los Alamos atomic bomb project. Well, where to look in Los Alamos? Well, river bathing is best, and I knew that the houses at the ranch school were the first ones in the county to get running water and bathtubs. There was that whole big thing about the size of the bathtub. Remember the bathtub story? the size of the bathtub and the little casita that he wanted to buy. It was only so many inches. Anyway, I soldiered up to the ranch school to start my investigation. I asked the guy at the desk if he'd heard of Forrest Fenn. He had not. But he knew everything about Project Y. Project Y. Project Y. Wyoming. Project Y. And we spoke for quite time about the Manhattan Project. I drove all around Los Alamos and the Jemez. I actually pronounced that Jemez. It was just a lot of trees. Nothing to find but one tree after another. I decided to head back to my hotel. I was heading down from Los Alamos and just happened to glance across the road and saw it. I could not believe my eyes. There it was, a white bicycle with the name Forrest B. Fukushima. Now, I'm not making this up. There's actually a bicycle along the side of the road. It's a Dishano for Forrest B. Fukushima. Okay? I got off. I fucking looked at that. I thought for sure that was a prank. But then when I got back home, I looked up Forrest B. Fukushima, and he's a real guy. And sadly, he died in a bicycle crash at that very location. Perhaps the tour guide at the ranch school did not know, but some wisecracker from the labs did. I planted my flag with all the others and started to believe this was really a hoax and that all of New Mexico was in on it. It was early morning and I've been in New Mexico for 3 days. Many think the warm water's hot spot could be Ojo Caliente. There's the Chama River that runs almost the entire distance from the spring to the confluence of the Rio Grande. This was a nice and pretty area with lots of volcanic rock. The high water unfortunately escaped me on this one. The only water was that of the Chama, and it seemed peaceful. This was the route of the Chile line, and there were a couple of spots where you could see the old railroad right away. Unfortunately, I could not find a hologram. At one point, I must admit that I thought that the blaze was the volcano, but I could not correlate with any other clues. I must have really confused the hell out of Forrest Fenn if you ever read this. But anyway, it was now day 3 and I'd hardly slept, and my steady diet of bananas and tea had taken a toll on my digestive system. I had learned 2 things so far. Do not underestimate the importance of toilet paper. And Taco Bell does not sell Mexican food. All right, on that quote, I'm going to see if anybody's got a good laugh about my Mexican food joke. Zozo's decorating up a a Native American room. There's Luli Bell. Good to see you, Luli. There was a drought for Luli. Which kid on Twin Peaks had a Native American kid? I persisted on these miles, long geologic. Oh, there's the five-leaf blaze. Good to see you. Oh, the United States had the lowest snow in 47 years. Oh, I need a Native American room. The Grinkinator needs to get less naked so I can go out and buy beer. Maybe you can have somebody deliver your beer. I hear Tiger Woods. No, never mind. Oh my God. I just thought about the new solve. It's the Tiger Woods solve. Oh, remind me to give you the Tiger Woods solve. The Grinkinator doesn't want anybody to see his balls. Well, anyway. Okay. I decided to take the high road to Taos. This is beautiful country, and I was inspired by the natural beauty of the area. Since many think the trout is the clue, I followed the road past Chamayo Chai my yo. Up to Truches. Truches. That means trout, by the way. It was here that I learned the inspiration for the blaze. I promised that there is a blaze in the cemetery. This is how I found the blaze and later the treasure. Highway 518 and 161 to Watras are two of the most exciting and interesting parts of this range. It was for the most part on vacation now and not looking for blazes or home of browns or the treasure. I took several pictures and stopped many times to look at my map. The windy roads and mountain peaks are really confusing to a flatlander. Okay, so I admit, this trip was not only about a treasure hunt. I also wanted to trace the routes of the old cattle drives and the Santa Fe Trail. In addition, Coronado had explored the area and must have taken a similar route to the west, or to the east, actually. Oh, I need to change that to the east. I sat here for about half an hour pondering the challenges that old settlers and cowboys must have faced as they moved west. I took a bunch of pictures. This is truly a special place. I would hope the treasure would be somewhere like this place. How did I get from there? I wonder. I was back where I had started, just a short trip over to Highway 56 and homeward bound. I have one more story to tell, but I need to get some legal counsel before telling it. The sun was on my shoulder and the open road was ahead. Having solved the poem and treasures in hand, I left New Mexico, not needing to go back again. As I checked into the hotel, I picked up a brochure of Montana. So if you go on and read these stories individually, I actually have some pictures in here. The high road to Taos, uh, there's some pictures there. Here's Ojo Caliente. This is Chama. There's the white streak at Los Alamos. Here's the ranch school. There's the bird that was in the tree at the White Rock Park. Here's Buckman. That's Buckman right there. There's two pictures of the from the overlook. If you can actually see the two peaks over here, Wheeler, way off in the distance for Wheeler and Taos. There's the X that's on the ground if you go to the White Rock. And here's the waterfall, the discharge pipe. This is the Atoe Crossing. It's a picture of the Atoe Crossing. This is the San Gabriel. Here's a picture of the horse and rider. Uh, uh, here's a picture of Eagles Nest Lake. Picture of Taos or Wheeler. And if you want to read any more about that, there you go. So anyway, that was my very first participation as a community member in the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt back in May of 2015. I heard about the treasure in 2013. I researched for 2 years before I actually went out and looked. The Grinkinator really wants to dig a hole. Will people stare at me if I go to the shop with only jeans? Well, it depends on what jean looks like. Well, folks, I think that's going to be a show. I still got at least a half a beer left. I hate to stop streaming I don't like to drink alone. I don't think I want to chug it. I only paid $1 for it, so I guess I could pour the rest of it out. Look, I've lost more hair. Look, I'm the bald man. I'm the bald man in the picture on the Appalachian Trail. Lou Lee says, I'm glad to see you're still going live. Well, I decided to go live tonight because I didn't go to Tucson. Fantastic is quoting from Forrest Fenn directly in the chapter where he talks about Eisenhower and that my bald head, my brains are pushing my hair out. I'm very impressed, fantastic, that you had the quote. Oh, so me going live gives people an opportunity to chat with their old Forrest Fenn buddies. Well, I'm so glad I can provide that community service to you. Oh, I never thought as me being the Lexus Nexus. Lexus Nexus? Is Lexus Nexus the right word there? It's the Nexus for that. Well, Luli, I hope that Chad Bird bought his geode from you. Then he put out for his treasure hunt. I hope that he. I actually went. There was a person that was selling a bunch of rocks and geodes and stones, and I thought about you, Luli, when I went over there and I was trying to. I was going to go to Texas and plant a fake geode out there at Pat May's Lake. And I was good. They had some cut geodes. I was gonna buy a already cut geode, put some sort of. I was gonna put a couple of SD cards in it, and I was gonna put a fake. I was gonna put a fake Chad Bird geode out at Pat May's Lake. But then he said it's not even near Pat May's Lake. What a bastard! I think he moved his treasure. David, you inherited the WWH Harm water cooler. I guess. Hmm. Well, my arm is actually getting better. My arm that was trapped into the under the hood. I just got a little bit of tenderness and a lump there. No, I was so gonna hide a fake Chad Bird treasure in Texas. I was gonna go down and look for his damn treasure. I don't even think he has a treasure, honestly. Two adjacent cinder cones with two morphologies habitable to rhyolite replacement gems and some copper scarms. Scarms. I was almost able to read that, and I've had almost two beers. Big ones. What's the basketball score? What's the score in the game? Does anybody got a score? Anybody got a score update? Is Arizona winning? I don't know if I got 2B over here or not. Mm. Okay, I just turned that TV on. Well, it'll be interesting when Shiloh tells us what the fun and answers are. So there's Bet 365. I'm trying to figure out if I can find the game on this TV. Oh, I think I just turned it off.
To help lead your team, to help control the pace of the game. She's the person that you want to have the ball in her hands, but she needs that.
Oh, we're talking about women's basketball now.
Been that and needs to continue to be that. So she is indeed the X factor for TCU. But if you're looking at South Carolina, the X factor could be so many different pieces because they have that many weapons, and that's what makes South Carolina so dangerous. If they bring that defensive presence that we
well, I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find.
A Ray Johnson playing well, a Joyce Edwards playing well, a Tanaya Latson who can shoot the ball.
Fire TV.
If she's in rhythm, then you really have a lot of different places and a lot of different weapons that you can get some offense. I think this is going to be more.
How do I get the woman to talk? I'm trying to get the TV woman to talk to me.
And so the problem is they aren't always that consistent from a
What
TCU
is search?
standpoint. South Carolina typically
Search.
is.
What am I
So
searching
we're able
for?
to see a
What network was that
consistent
game
South
on?
Carolina defense. I might have to
Oh, what game was that on?
That match between Olivia Miles, Raven Johnson, SEC Defensive Player of the Year. That is going to
what was the game on?
One thing we know, Raven
TBS.
Locks up.
Let me type in TBS.
Now, UConn, they'll be facing Notre Dame in the Elite Eight, just like the old days of the Big East. But before we get into that, Gina Auriemma spoke about the issues facing the women's team with only 2 sites for regionals as opposed to 4, which the NCAA did until 2023, citing a desire to increase attendance. Take a listen.
You know what time our shoot around was yesterday?
There's no matches for TBS.
6:20, I think. For half an hour.
I'm supposed to be able to use voice commands to find
This
this.
morning, I just saw Notre Dame.
Screw it. I think I'm just gonna watch reruns of what was the name of that show? Oh man, I might as well just watch reruns of Mountain Man. How do I get to the voice commands? Find basketball game. That's obviously not it. How do I use Alexa? Basketball game. Basketball. Basketball. See, I can't figure out how to use my own TV. Share the link to your website. Okay, I got Sweet Pants. You got Sweet Pants? Basketball.
Tonight, there's no sign of Tiger Woods. He has not been seen in public since being released last night after his DUI arrest. CBS's Nicole Valdez is outside the jail where it all happened with more on the latest.
Basketball. Oh, I give up. Oh. Nomadic Madman gave up. There's no sign of Tiger Woods, that's right. Basketball. 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 All right, I give up. All right, I'll just have to watch the game that's on CBS and finish my beer. Well, thanks so much for your patience. Well, thanks so much for your indulgence and patience and listening to me read this stuff. Glad everybody could come over and spend some time tonight. Hope everybody has a good week and good time. Oh, Zozo's queued up the basketball Jones. Levels of nakedness updates from our own Grinkinator. Yes. I just wish we knew who the Grinkinator was. And we could put some clothes on that person. Apparently it's a man because they were mentioning their balls earlier.
Before you go, I really wanted to say thank you.
Well, I hope everybody had a chance to visit with their friends. I've been on for over an hour. I hope everybody's having a good time out at the whatever they're doing. Trust the Living's got Sister Mary Elephant. All right, folks. It's been fun. It's been real. It's been real fun. I'm going to count it out. Say your goodbyes in 10, 9, 8, 7.5, 7, 6, 5, 4.5, 3, 2, 1.5, 1. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week on. Aww.